Well, I'm here with Pastor Don Rice, and why don't you tell us how you got hungry?
Well, I was first missionary to England, and then while I was there, felt a call going to Hungary, and that's back when it was still communist. So my mission board and nobody thought I could do it, so I had to go make an exploratory trip, check it out, and I tried to take our whole family there, and talked to several travel agents. They said, "Well, you could get you there, but we can't guarantee you a room because everything's booked up. There's nothing available." I said, "Yeah, sure. I'm going to go to Hungary with my family and can't get a room and I can't speak the language." And so I said, "Well," I knew God was in this, and so I put my house on the market, and I told my church, told my head deacon that I was going to leave when our house was sold. So he's the only one that knew. So then when it sold, we finished everything up, came home to get my family settled, and I flew to Hungary. But in the meantime, a missionary friend of mine that had been in Scotland knew this man that was in Connecticut, that was a Hungarian medical doctor from Hungary. So he connected with me and I called him, and he said, "Well, I'm going to be in Hungary." This is in October-ish of 1990 or 89. And he said, "I'm going to be there. We're glad to meet with you." So I said, "Okay." So I went there and found out what you could do, what you couldn't do, the rest. And from there, I went back and told my mission board. I said, "I think we can do this." So I went there. It took us almost another year to get to win in 1990. We ended up in Hungary. And it was still communist. Communism we voted out while I was there. And the wall came down, all those things while I was there. We see all the people used to flood through from Eastern Germany, coming down through Poland, coming down into Hungary, and staying a few days in Hungary, then going out to Austria. And that's the way it was. So we found us a house, and we started to find a ministry, went to language school, and then the language is an absolute bear. And I was an old man at the time. I was 48 years old.
How old were you?
48.
And how old were you when you went to England?
34. So, but we went to language school, and then for a year, I only preached one time the first year I was there. Oh man, this is terrible. So then, this young man invited me to preach in a church, and I preached there. And he was in the Bible college, this Baptist seminary there in Budapest. And they were starting a group called Village Missions. And there were 3 young people that were connected with that. They asked me to be the speaker. So I started traveling with them. In a short time, this group went from 3 people to 300. And they would take me from one meeting, one side of the country, to the other, into Romania. They set up tents, and I was the preacher, and God blessed it. We saw churches established, churches revived, all kinds of things that were happening. Sometimes when you're standing there and you're seeing this happening, you feel like you're here, but you feel like you're standing next to it, observing that. You know the things. That's what I felt like, and God blessed it. I did that. After 5 years there, I started the church. And
how many times did you preach in 5 years? I mean, how many times a week?
Oh my, 5 or 6 times a day. Started at 6 o'clock in the morning in the markets, and preached to the team, preached everywhere.
So where were you preaching?
In schools, in churches, in tents, in open air, everything, everywhere, all the time. 5, 6 times a day, in the summertime particularly, all the time. In the wintertime, I'd be in schools and colleges and churches and other things. But almost preached me to death. But I loved it. And I'd sit in my car, prepare my messages. Because I stayed in Hungarian homes. Sometimes slept on the floor, sometimes slept in beds, whatever else, wherever they put me. I got nothing from them, not a penny, other than meals. Gulyás, Hungarian gulyás. Mostly. We had other stuff too, but tripe and a few other things. Liver. No, I never.
You like liver?
I do like liver, actually.
So you like liver?
I do.
Oh my goodness. You tell me, how long would you stay in one place before you traveled to the next?
sometimes a week, sometimes 2-3 days, whatever, just whatever the situation was. But I'd be in Romania, and then they would have another meeting set, ready for me to go in Hungary, and I'd go back to Hungary, then be in this meeting for 2-3 days, and then go to the other side of Hungary, preach. So, and God blessed it.
Was your wife with you?
No, she never traveled with me to those meetings. My girls did. I take one or the other because she was homeschooling. So I take one of my girls one time, or the next time as we traveled, and they would visit with the young people, going door to door, or doing vacation Bible schools, or singing in the teams, and all my girls did that. But my wife was home keeping things together.
Because you had 4 children.
I had only two in Hungary. The others were already grown. So anyway, that was kind of my story, and then we started the church in Esztergom, which is the Catholic capital of Hungary. They call it the Magyar Vatican because it's the Hungarian Vatican. We went there because the city's over 1,000 years old. King Stephen was crowned there 1,000 years ago, and we felt they needed a good Baptist church there. It was tough, it was hard, but we did it. God blessed it. Thriving church. They got their own property, they got everything. It's a glorious church. And we loved the work, we loved Hungary. And then I came home in furlough and turned it over to my co-pastor there, another young man. And then I came back, without telling him that when I come back I was turning it over to him and going to start another church, which I did. But I was only there for maybe 6 months or so. My daughter was getting married. She was like 19, 20 years old. And maybe anyway, we came home for her wedding in 2000. Was it 2000? It was in 2000. And while we was here, the church I'm at now, the deacon came and says, "We're having a hard time trying to find a pastor out there." I said, "Well, just throw my hat in the ring," because I've been praying about what we call a reverse call, because America's gotten, we considered 24 years ago bad, or 25 years ago bad. It's much worse now, but I felt maybe God could use it here, at least for my own family. That's kind of my thinking was. So anyway, that's where we ended up at New Hope Baptist Church, where this famous pastor here, Austin Gardner, is today.
Can young people, could a missionary do what you did today? Is that?
Oh, much better than I could.
Well, explain maybe how they would go about it.
Well, of course, you'd be Bible trained, of course,
Right.
and then be with a mission board, a support group, and then travel and traveling deputation. You learn how to meet people, how to speak, and you learn everything you need to know. You learn to live by faith. You learn to do without anything. What all the rest you need to do. What a blessing to learn to live a little bit by faith. Most of us, and I included, don't know much about that, but I've seen God work in amazing ways.
But like what you did in Hungary, when you traveled and preached, would that happen again? Could that happen again in Latin America or Europe or anywhere?
I think it could happen anywhere.
What would you tell a young man about how to think about doing something like that?
Well, obviously you need a local team on the field, some nationals that open doors and connections for you, because so much of mission work is American instead of indigenous. It needs to be indigenous. It needs to be built from the ground up in their country, whether it's evangelism or Bible training or whatever else. That's kind of the way we believe. So yeah, but I think you could do it anywhere. Initially, my mission board didn't agree with those things. I'm talking about 45, 50 years ago. That wasn't the philosophy. Sent out a missionary, let him do his own thing. But they've matured, like most of us have. So we take a different view now. But going as a team or whatever else, but somebody has to be in charge of the team. Somebody has to lead it. You have a vision for it. Outline your vision, what you intend to do. Like I did evangelism to show them they could evangelize after 40 years of communism, and then did church planting to show them they could do church planting, and they did those, and they're doing those things now. and it's expanding, and it's just I mean, I rejoice every time I hear some of these children that were 6 years old that were saved in our meetings now leading one of the churches I started. It's just a thrill.
Well, I think God has blessed you greatly. And since our lunch is ready, we'll take a break and
Yo.
go eat lunch, and we'll come back and maybe you'll let me have one more recording at least.
Hot? Meg got you.
Oh, man. You gonna push that red button?
Sure.